I'm Lori Rotolo, and I work for the Ulster County Healthy Start Program in Ellenville. And we are a community program of the Institute for Family Health. And what we do is we go out and do home visits for pregnant and parenting families in Ulster County and provide resources, education, parent support, referrals. So here I am the family support worker supervisor. The family support workers are the people that go out into the homes and bring out all this great information to the families. And I'm also a mental health coordinator, so I might be working with families who, let's say, have high stress, are screening positive for low-level depression and have been given a referral for mental health counseling, but maybe need a little help getting into that kind of setting. So I might see them as an interim person and facilitate them moving on to seeing a primary counselor here at the Institute. My son was in the first grade when we moved here. I wanted to set down some roots and really wanted to have my own home. That was one of my goals. I hadn't known anything about any kind of home ownership program. I happened to see a little ad in, I think it was the Catskill Shopper, mentioning something about home ownership program, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then later that week, I happened to mention RUPCO and this ad to someone else who said, oh yeah, I saw something about that. And so I decided to investigate and make a phone call. So I went to RUPCO and I sat with them, and at the time I had a full-time job and a part-time job. I wasn't really sure about how stable my work was at the time, but they worked with me, encouraged me to take the classes, and made me actually feel like it was possible to accomplish this goal. Yeah, I was able to get the grant to get into the home. I got help towards the down payment. They found that there was some structural things with the house that needed to be addressed, and so that was put in place. When I first moved here, I felt really disconnected. Like I knew I had come here to be closer to family and for my son to have that, but I personally didn't feel connected to the area at all. I was working here or there in different counties, but once I was able to work in Ellenville and then think about buying a home here, and having that kind of foundation and stability gave me a whole new sense of motivation, but commitment, like, to the community, because I felt like, well, I'm working here, I live here, I want it to be a safe place, I want it to be a thriving place, and so that kind of gave me the motivation to, if I'm living here, I'm working here, what can I give back, to the community? How can I make it a place that is good for not only us, but for the other families that we know that live here.
A group of people in town partnered with R.J. Smith, who had helped broker the original deal with the theater, got together under Ron's tutelage for about the next 10, 12 years. We got up and running, and for forever this mission has guided us, that it was not just to be a theater that would produce work that was pleasant and happy and was a fare that just was not going to be challenging. The idea was challenge them to make a choice about what they saw. Did I like it, did I not like it, and why? And the audience over our history has just held us firm to that mission and to that idea that they want to be challenged, and we want to challenge them.
I don't think it was always just about quality of life. A lot of it was going to shift some things, but it also had a component of let's change the economic status of our community. There was going to be some Main Street grants that were going to change that whole Canal Street area. A number of people at that time were still involved in bringing that in. And there were, steps towards that, some setbacks, but eventually now I think things are taking off. 25 years later, I couldn't be happier. It's still there, and I'm so proud that it's still there.
We were throwing all sorts of numbers around, all sorts of projects around, and we realized we had to create a vision. What do we want to be in 2025? And what do we need to get there? And in addition to all the repairs and maintenance on the main building, we've been encountering a need for space, rehearsal space, and our education programs are growing. They've been trying to do them in the lobby. We had no space to house them. And also for our technical elements, a small scene shop closer to the theater where we could build things and move them right into the space. And so we started looking at property, and we saw this building, and we knew the owner, and we approached him and pretty much said, this is what we want to do. This is our vision. Your building would be a big help. Would you consider donating it? And he said yes.
My name got picked, and I'm like, I can't do this. I don't have any money. I don't have nothing put aside. I just finished the class. So Robin was there. She was like, don't worry about it. We'll get you through it. Maureen Freehill was there. She was like, don't worry about it. You're going to get it. And I'm like, I don't want that house. I was like, how am I going to get it? It's a 3-bedroom. RUPCO only approves you for 2-bedroom because I have 2 boys. So they're like, don't worry about it. So I called the bank. She was like, well, first you have to see if you get approved. I'm like, there's no way I can get approved. I don't have any money. I can't afford a house. So I was in the family substance abuse. Actually, I just graduated. When you first get on, you're on for 5 years, and you have to make a goal. And my goal was to have a job that pays more, to get a house, and to get a new car. Well, I got my new truck, I got my house, and I'm making more money here. So I graduated a couple months ago.